Welcome besties to today's class. In today's class we'll be learning how to cut and sew our bib overall or the dungaree. Now today's class is actually a follow-up class of our previous class where we learned how to draft patterns for the bib overall. So before jumping right into this class, I would advise that you go ahead and watch our previous class where we learn how to draft patterns for this bib overall, so that you can draft your own patterns, have your patterns, and then follow along with this sewing tutorial. All right, good. So now to make this bib overall, we will be needing just about 2 meters of fabric, or it could be slightly more depending on your size and depending on the length you are making. Okay, and then one of the best fabrics to use for this overall is denim fabric. Now you can actually use other fabric of your choice as well. You can use chinos, you can use cotton, depends on what you want to make. You can also use Ankara as well. Okay, so you get your fabric and then you're going to spread it, fold it into two. I've already folded mine. Place your patterns on them, place your patterns on the fabric, and then we're going to cut them out. Okay, so once you finish cutting out your patterns, remember to transfer your markings to your fabric, especially where you're going to place your pockets. So once you finish cutting out your patterns, now we are ready to start stitching. The first thing we're going to stitch will be, we're going to stitch the pocket to the front part. So you just take your front part and then you take your pocket, this one, the one that is slightly slanted. So you place it like so, the right side of the fabric against the right side of the fabric, the pocket and the lower pant. So you're going to go ahead to stitch from here all the way down to the other side on both sides. Okay, so once you finish joining this side of the pockets together, you're going to move the seam allowance, move it to the pocket side just like this, and then you're going to top stitch it. I've already done that for this one. You see, top stitch it so that you can relax very well. Then you go ahead and press it so that it will lie very flat. And once you've done that, the next thing is you can decide to use a contrasting thread and then do a top stitching on it like this so that it will come out really very nice. Okay, now once you've done that, the next thing will be to attach the other pocket to it. So you're going to take the other pocket, the other part of the pocket, this one, and then you're going to attach it together. Okay, so with right side facing the right side, place it together like this. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and then you're going to stitch from here all the way down to these parts. All right, so that you can have something like this once you finish. Okay, so the next thing will be for us to prepare the back pocket so we can attach it. So you're going to take your back pocket and then you fold in your seam allowance, fold it in one time and then fold it in a second time. Now you're going to go ahead and top stitch it. Then you take it to your ironing board and then you fold in the sides. Fold in the sides very nicely. Okay? So after top stitching and ironing the corners of your pocket, you're going to have something like this. I just pressed the seam allowance in like that. Now we're going to place it on the back side of our overall. So remember your markings and then you just place it like so. Use your pins to hold them together in place. And then you go ahead and then you top stitch. You stitch from one end like that according to the shape. You can do double stitches just like this as well. All right, Okay, so I have this one like this, so I'm going to make another top stitching so that it will look nice and neat. Okay, so here's how my pocket looks like. Really cool, I love it. You see, the double top stitching really makes a huge difference. So you're going to do exactly the same thing for the other side. So now you're going to take your front part, and then you are going to, we just want to transfer our markings. You are going to measure from the edge of this your pocket here. I think it was 2 cm we used when we were drafting the pattern. So you measure it and then you mark your 2 cm just like that. And then you go to the other side and do exactly the same thing. Okay, so the next thing will be for you to cut a facing that you're going to use to turn these parts. Okay, so you're just going to place your fabric. The width of the facing can be about 5 or 6 cm wide, and then it's going to be slightly long up to this point, maybe about 3 or 4 cm longer than where the pocket starts from, just to cover it nicely. So I've already cut my facing. Just place your fabric on it. Yeah, something like this. You see how it is? Use the edge, this edge, to cut it. Just place it, cut it, and do it. It can be straight like that. You just have to match like this. All right, so this part can be straight or it can be curvy. It really doesn't matter. So this is my facing. So you see how long it is. It's slightly longer than, about 3 cm or so longer than these parts. Okay, so now we're going to place our facing like this. So we're going to turn the edge of this pocket. Now take note, this is where we just notched. So you're going to use your pin to hold these parts together. So you're going to stitch from here now, from the top now all the way to where you notch, and then you give it a little snip. Okay, so you're going to do it for this side and for this side. Let me do it and then show it to you. Back stitch it here where your notch is, and then you're going to snip it. So give it a little snip like so. Okay, be sure not to cut on the stitches, and then you're going to flip it to the back side. So flip it to the back like this. Go give it a very good press. So bring this out like this. Yeah, we're going to have something like this. So give it a very good press. Okay, now you can go ahead and overlock this so that it will look nice and neat. So once you finish ironing, you're going to have something like this. Okay, like this. Now you're going to take the back side, place it on top, and now we're going to stitch the inseam. So place it like this, and then we're just going to stitch from here all the way down to the end. We're going to leave this side for later. And then once you finish, you're going to open press your seam allowance. Now place your garment like this. This is the front, this is the back, and then take the other one and place it directly on top, with the front and the back matching themselves. So this is the front against the front and the back against the back. We are going to join the crotch together. So use your pin to hold this seam allowance together so that they will match when you stitch them. Okay, so now go ahead and stitch from one end all the way down to the other end. So once you're done joining the crotch like so, you are going to take your press your seam allowance, press it towards the right side. You see, as it's facing you like this, press it towards the right side. Now on the front side, you're going to take your fly, and then you're going to place it like this. So place it on the inside now. Place it on your, just place it like this on your, this is my left and this is my right. Okay, place it on your left, and then you're going to go ahead and stitch it. So you can stitch it from this side. So stitch it from here, just where your seam, your stitch line is for your crotch line. So stitch it all the way down to the end, and then once you finish stitching, press it towards the side of your seam allowance, where you pressed your seam allowance to, and that is to the right side. Okay, so once you're done, you're going to have something like this. Now you're going to go ahead and top stitch it. You can do 2 lines of top stitching on it. Now since I'm going to do it, I'm going to top stitch on the front side, and I'm not going to be seeing my zipper fly. I'm going to use a chalk just to mark it so that I can see it very well. Okay, so the next thing is you're going to top stitch on your, you see your crotch, you're going to top stitch on it. You're going to do 2 lines of top stitching from one end all the way down to the other end. Okay, so I'm starting from the back. Anyway, it doesn't matter, you can start from anywhere. Wow, it's looking nice and neat. So the next thing would be for us to attach our waistbands to the front part. So you're going to take your waistband and you're going to locate the center. Okay, so that's my center, and then I'm going to place it, my center front, and then I'm going to place it against my center front like so, and then use my pins to hold them together in place. Okay, so you pin it all around from one end to the other end like so, and then you go ahead and stitch from one end to the other end. No worries, you're going to have a little excess here. It's very okay. We're going to finish it off later. When you finish attaching the waistband, press your seam towards the waistband like so. Okay, now we're going to set this aside, and then we're going to work on the front bit first. So you're going to take the bit in front, and then we're going to cut facing for it. So you just take your scrap fabric, and then you just place the top on it just to cut the facing. So we are going to stitch all the corners. You stitch like this, and then like this. Okay, okay, so you're going to notch the edges, and then you flip it to the right side. Now take it to the ironing board and iron it very nicely. So once you finish, you're going to have something like this. Now the next thing you're going to do would be for you to top stitch it. You're going to top stitch 2 lines like that, and then you're going to top stitch your facing straight like so. Okay, once you've gotten to this stage, the next thing would be for us to attach our bib pocket. First of all, you're going to fold this into 2 so that you have the center point. It's really very important. And then for your bib pocket, you're also going to prepare your bib pocket just the way we prepared our back patch pocket. Okay, so once you've done that, the next thing is fold it into two as well, so that you get the center point. And then you're going to place this middle point like this. Make sure you align it very well. Just place it like that, half of the pocket on this side and half of the pocket on this other side, so that it can balance very well. And then you use your pins to hold them together in place. Okay, so you go ahead to top stitch like so, 2 lines of top stitching as well, so that everything will be uniform. All right, so once you've done this, the next thing will be for us to attach the bib to our front part, to the waistband, to our front. So you're going to place it like this, and then we are going to stitch. But before we stitch, we're going to take the other waistband to sandwich it, so that it will look nice and neat. So you take your waistband, the other part, place it on top like so. Okay, take note of the side that you are placing, and then you're going to pin them together from one end to the other end. So now you're going to stitch from one end all the way down to the other end. So once you finish stitching this, once you finish attaching the bib and the waistband, you are going to press your seam allowance towards your waistband. I've already done mine. And then this other part of the waistband here, you're going to fold in the seam allowance nicely like this. Press it nicely like this, so that it will cover this other one, so that it will cover this other waistband, so that it will look really neat. Okay, now we are going to finish off the raw edges here. So you turn this one like this, flip it like that. Okay, and then you're going to go stitch this part, and you do exactly the same thing for the other side. Okay, so once you've done this, you're going to trim off the seam allowance, so that it will not be bulky inside. You're going to go ahead and flip it to the right side. Now use something to turn in your corners very well, so that it will look nice and neat. Okay, so you're going to have something like this. You can trim off this little excess in there, and then you're going to go ahead and press it very well, so that it will lie very flat. Okay, so you're going to have something like this after joining this side and pressing it very nicely. So you see your waistband is going to cover this seam allowance. Now you're going to go ahead and top stitch. So you're going to top stitch like this. Use your contrasting thread. You're going to top stitch all around like so. So by the time you top stitch it here, you're going to catch this one from the back. Okay, so now the next thing would be for us to finish off the back side. So we are going to fold in this part. You can overlock it first, so that your raw edges will be neat. So you're going to fold in your seam allowance like so. Fold it in very well, and then you're going to go ahead to top stitch it. All right, then you're going to do exactly the same thing for this other side as well. Okay, so once you finish top stitching the back side, you're going to take the button extension, both of them, and then on the upper side of the button extension, you're going to flip it like this, and you're going to go ahead and stitch in your seam allowance, about 1.5 cm seam allowance that you added. Stitch it very nicely, and then turn it turn it to the right side and give it a very good press. Then on the bottom side, you can go ahead and overlock it, or you can also turn it as well. Maybe you can also turn it as well, so that it will look nice and neat, both the top and the bottom. And then you flip it to the right side, give it a very good press. Okay, now we are going to attach our button extension, but before we do that, we're going to just adjust the front and the back together. Place them together at the side seam from the hem. Just place them so that it will match. Okay, I'm just arranging this. This is the easiest way to do this. So just make sure they match from the hem all the way down like so. Okay, so once you are happy with it, now you're going to take your chalk and then you're going to place a mark here. You see where your button extension is going to stop. So you just place a mark. I know we marked this from our pattern. You can transfer from your pattern if that's easy, or if that's easier for you. Just place a mark here like this so that you'll be both at the same point. And then you're going to take one of your button extension. This is the upside, the up, yes. And then you're going to place it just like this at the back. Use your pins to hold them together in place. Now you're going to go ahead and stitch from here all the way to this mark here, this place where you mark it. Now once you stitch and you back stitch it very well here, once you get to this point, you're going to snip it a little bit here, just the way we snip this part as well. Okay, so you give it a little snip. Be sure not to snip on your threads or your stitches. Okay, so once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and then we're going to close. Just iron it very nicely, and then you're going to place this like this, bring it out like so. Okay, good. You see, good. And then you iron these other parts. Once you are done attaching it, you can go ahead to overlock these parts so that it will look nice and neat. So you have these other parts. So now we are going to flip this to this other side. Flip it like this, you see, just like that. Now we are going to stitch these two together. So we're going to turn them like this. Now you can turn it from the inside so that you can pin it very well. So you pick the two of them, this one and this one. You match them together where you have this little cut, and then you use your pins to hold them together in place like so. And then you pin it all the way down to the end. Now you can also go ahead and overlock it first before you stitch it so that it will look nice and neat. So you pin it from one end all the way down to the other end. Now once you are happy with the way it is, now you're going to go ahead and stitch from one end all the way down to the hemline. Okay, so once you finish, you are going to go ahead and open press your seam allowance so that it will lie very flat, and then you're going to give it a very good press. Okay. So once you're done with your button extension, you're going to have something like this. So you see how it looks. This is a little bit tricky though, but it is doable. So you see how it looks on the inside, nice and neat. You see the other side. So give it a little press so that it will relax very well. Okay, good. So once you're done, the next thing would be for us to finish off the back side. Now you're going to take your inset. Yes, so this is my inset. You're going to place it at the back side. Make sure the sharp V corners, you pin it very well like so, and then you go ahead to pin it like so. So you're going to have something like this. So you're going to go ahead and stitch from this part all the way to these parts. Don't bother if you have some seam allowance sticking out, it's okay. We're going to close this later. All right. At that V point, you're going to lift up your presser foot, leave your needle inside, and then move it. This part is also a little bit tricky, but you can do it. So move this a little bit like so. And then arrange it nicely so that it doesn't have any surplus, and then you continue stitching. So once you've done yours, then you're going to go ahead and press the seam towards the inset. You can also snip off some of these excess so that it doesn't create bulk inside. You can just snip it a little bit, notch it a little bit here, okay, before you go ahead and press it. Now the next thing will be for us to prepare the straps. So you're going to take your straps, take the other one. You know, we did 4 pieces. Yes, so you place it together like this, and then you're going to go ahead and stitch from one end like so. Close this part here, the end of the strap, then continue stitching all the way to the end and leave this part open so that you can flip it in from this part. Okay, now once you've done that, you give it a very good press, and then you're going to top stitch your strap. Okay, so trim off the excess seam allowance so that it will not be bulky inside before you flip it to the right side. Okay. So once you finish preparing your straps, you're going to attach it to the back side. Now remember to press your seams up like that, and then press this one like this, pressing your seam allowance so that you have a nice shape like this at the back. So you're going to place your straps like so, place it like so, place it very well, and then use your pins to hold them together in place. Okay, good. So now you're going to go ahead and then you're going to stitch it and stitch the other one in place. So once you're done attaching your straps like this, you are now going to clean up this part so that it will look very nice and neat. You're going to take your other inset, the upper side, you're going to place it like this, use your pins to pin them in place, and then you're going to go ahead and stitch it like this and stitch it like so. Okay, make sure you pin them so that it will be easy for you to stitch. All right. Okay, so once you finish stitching it like this, you're going to go ahead to pull it out like so. Yes, so you're going to go ahead and press your seams inside. You can give it a little notch here so that it can relax very well, and you can also trim off your seam allowance. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and press in your insets just like this. See how I pressed my nice and neat. And the next thing would be for you to fold it like this on the wrong side, and then you are going to stitch this part. Stitch it close like this, and then stitch the other part close as well. Trim off the seam allowance and then flip it inside. Okay, okay, so once you've done it like this, you're going to go ahead and give it a very good press. So after pressing, you're going to have something like this, nice and neat. The next thing you want to do is on the back side, you want to go ahead to top stitch it. Okay, so you're going to put you're going to run 2 lines of top stitching, like so, like so, like so, all the way down, like so. So now the next thing will be for you to fold in your hem and top stitch it. So you can fold it in nicely like this and fold it in again. Then you top stitch it from the outer part. So the next thing we want to do is for us to make our buttonholes. We're going to make our buttonholes on the front side. So our first buttonhole is going to be from here to here, say about 1 cm or 1.5 cm in. So you mark it just like so. So your buttonhole starts from here and goes in like this at the middle of your waistband. Then you can also measure and space them out, say about 4 cm or 5 cm. It really depends on you. So you space them out like so and like so. So that's how you're going to place your buttonholes. So you're going to go ahead and make 3 buttonholes here. 1, 2, 3. Then you also do the same thing for the other side. Okay, so once you finish making your buttonholes, the next thing for us to do would be for us to make our belt loops. Now the belt loops are really for decoration, but it also makes it really beautiful. Okay, so we're going to just go cut. You go ahead and cut a long strap like this. The width is about 3 cm. Overlock the raw edges so that it will look nice and neat. And then you're just going to fold it in like this and fold it in a second time. Give it a very good press, and then you're going to stitch it. Top stitch it with your contrasting color. Okay, and then we're going to snip it into little bits so that we can use it to create our belt loops. So once you're done, you're going to have something like this. Now you're going to cut them into about 8 cm each. So just use your tape measure and measure about 8 cm. So you will need just 5 of them. We have 2 in front and then we have 3 at the back. So once you cut them into 5 different portions, now you're going to go folding 1 cm like so, and fold in another 1 cm. Then give it a very good press. The next thing would be for you to mark on your dungaree. So in front you are going to have 2 belt loops. So from the center front to where your first belt loop is, it's about 12 cm. Or you can decide how long you want or how wide you want it. Mine is 12 cm. From here to here is 12 cm. And then from here to this other part is 12 cm. Make sure it's equal so that it will look nice and neat. And then at the back, you're going to locate your waistline, and you're also going to have 3 of those loops at the back. One is going to be at the middle, and then or at the center back, and then you're going to measure from the center back, say about 20 cm. Now this depends on how big you are on your waistline, so you can actually reduce this. It could be 15 cm or it could be 20 cm. It could also be more than that. There's really no hard and fast rule. The only important thing is make sure that what you take on this side is exactly the same thing on this side as well, so that it will look appealing to the eyes. And then you're going to go ahead and attach your loops. So you place them on your marks like so, and then you stitch, just top stitch on this side and top stitch on the other side. So you're going to do that for all of them. All right. So I'm done attaching my bed loops, and trust me, it really makes a lot of difference. It beautifies this bib overall very well. So please don't omit this step. Now the next thing we're going to do is to install our buttons. Now I'm going to be using the jean buttons. This is how they look. Okay, they come in different designs. So they come in a pair. Let me place it here so you can see it very well. So you have the little one that is like a screw, and then you have the button itself. So you're going to place these inside this and hit it. Okay, I'm going to show you exactly how to install these jean buttons. They are very easy to install. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to mark your where you want to place your buttons. You can just mark like this, place your button holes on top and mark where it is like that. So I have already marked mine. So that is it. So for this bib overall, you're going to need about 8 buttons. So that is it. So those are my marks. The next thing you want to do is you want to punch a hole. Now be careful when you punch a hole, because you don't want a hole that is too big. So I'll be using my my awl. You can use anything you're comfortable with to punch a hole. Okay, so you see, this is really easy. So now you're going to place this, the little thing that looks like a screw, you're going to place it inside. Place it from the back. Okay, so once it's staying very well, you're going to take this, your button, and then you're going to place it on top just like this. Make sure you place it very well. And then you're going to give it a little hit. Okay, you're going to use your hammer to hit it, or something heavy, not too heavy, just a little hit. Maybe once or twice. Okay, so that's it. Now you can actually hit it from the back. It doesn't really matter, so that you don't deface your button. But this is really okay. I don't need to hit it more. See, it's staying very well. If you feel your button is not staying very well, now you can hit it. Okay, so that it can stay very well. You see? And that's it. It's already in place. You see how nice and neat it is? Very easy, right? Easier than even sewing on buttons. Okay, I usually like this. Now you're going to punch holes on the other part and then install your buttons for all the parts that you need to install buttons on. Okay, so after attaching your buttons, we're going to now install our buckles. Now remember to also attach your buttons on your bib. You need 2 buttons on your bib. Okay, so for us to attach our buckles, this is how the buckles they look like. Now these buckles, they always come in pairs like this. This is a pair and this is another pair, so we'll need 2 for the straps. Okay, so if you're interested in where I got this, I got them from Amazon anyways. So you can get this one and the snaps or the jean buttons. I got them from Amazon. I'm going to drop the link in the description box for you so you can check it out if you're interested. So to install the buckles, you're going to place this one, put this one inside first. Okay, so you take this one, place it like so. I hope you can see it. It's pretty easy and straightforward. And then place it like that. Okay, and then just push it in like so. Leave it there first. And you're going to take the pair So this is the pair. So you're going to take it in like so, and then you're going to take it in like this. Okay, good. Now you flip this to the other side. Now we're going to pass this so that we'll be able to adjust it as we like. So now you're just going to place it, you're going to cross it, you see it, you're going to pass it through this one. So pass it in, that's like this. Okay, okay, so you pass it in like so. Okay, so you see it inside. Now I hope you can see it well. It's a little tricky, but it's easy. So now once you pass it in like this, you see it's inside. Now we're going to fold it, the one inside, fold it in a little bit so that you can pass it from this side. Come in, this is, the fabric is a little bit thick, so that's why. So you see, that's it. So you fold it in like so, so you cannot pass it from this other side. Okay, great. Oh, it's easy peasy. So you pass it like that. Okay. So you see, you can always adjust this. Now let me pull this a little bit so that you can see it well. And so let me pull this a little bit. Okay, so you see this one inside like this. So you are going to go ahead and stitch it. You stitch it like this. Okay, top stitch it very well. So once you finish stitching it, this is how it's going to look like. Now you can pull it and adjust it how you like. You can always pull this to adjust it according to how you like it. Okay, so you're going to just use it to hook this like this. You see, nice and neat, right? You're going to do exactly the same thing for the other side. Now once you've done the other side, you are done with your bib overall or your dungaree. Now tell me in the comment section. I hope this tutorial was simple enough for you to follow, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Do you like tutorials like this? If you do, please leave all your comments for me in the comment section. Let me hear you out, okay? And remember, if you want to learn to sew in a very professional manner, just like this, I have an online school where I teach you how to do this, from pattern making to sewing. So do not hesitate to join us. It is just 12 euros monthly. Okay, so use the link in the description box, sign up, join us, and then you'll be added to our sewing community. All right, thank you so much for watching. I will see you again in my next class. Bye bye.